Hello, I have another session open from my original music. This is from my first album that I did a couple of years back now, and this song is called Through My Eyes. And I wanted to make just like, you know, those 80s songs, like Mutt Lange ones or David Forster songs that just sound like they're not from this world. They sound like a blockbuster Hollywood movie or something, where everything's just so slick and perfect but in your face, and just like sonically takes you somewhere else. And that was the goal behind the production of this song. But the writing of this song, I just wrote the song and then I thought this production would be good on this song. I didn't write this song specifically for the production. So let me play it for you from start to finish, and then I'll go through everything.
If I take a moment, the world crashes down. If I turn away, will I still make a sound? If I close my
There you go. That is pretty 80s, if I don't say so myself. I'm a massive 80s fan. I grew up in the late 80s, and so all this music was still around when I grew up, of this sort of style and genre, so it's just in my blood from such a young age. So let's go through the drums first again. As you may know, I'm a drummer, so I love drums. And this drum kit, the main focus of this one was to get that big Simmons snare in on beat 4. It's just the most classic 80s sound. I bet you all of a sudden your head's just filled with 1,000 songs with that exact snare drum. I actually made this sample myself. I used to have a Simmons module years back, and I made my own samples from it in case I ever needed them, and I did. Glad I made that. So the main drum kit sounds like this. So it sounds super 80s, but the only thing 80s about it is I have 2 snare samples and everything else is the real drum kit. So if I go to the room, take off the reverb, take off, all I'm doing on the rooms is tiniest bit of compression, sucking the mids out, a little bit of deep bottom end, but not too much because there's so much other deep bottom end elements in this song, so you can't get too carried away. I feel like in every song there sort of has to be a big boss of the bass, and then everything else has to sort of flow off that and get out of that main bass's way, because if you're trying to have like 10 bassy things in a row, they just get in the way and it's a big mess, and that's when mixes start sounding muddy. So this room is just a normal room. Bam. It's the reverb that's making it sound super 80s, and I'm using my same reverbs I use the 480L on just the, this one's on the, is the room setting, and I like to use this one, and this is on 2.2 seconds, so that's the one that's sort of really making it sound super 80s because it's got so much sustain. The Lexicon is only at 1 second, so it's just sort of a normal amount of drum reverb. I'll play it with each reverb. So that was the Lexicon, and here is the EMT. So yeah, that's the one that's probably making it sound super 80s at 2.2 seconds, and it's quite bright too. And so let's go to the overheads now. All I'm doing is taking off some of the real high tops, taking out a little bit of the mids, and that's it. The toms are just sucking out all the mids, putting in tops and bottoms, and taking off the real tops up there at 8K. 3-to-1 compression on the toms, so they really get heard in the mix. There's not that many tom hits on this track because I got all the toms in an overdub track of these purple ones. I'll show you them in a tick though. So below that is the Simmons snare. This is the cool one. So this is what it sounds like by itself with no reverb or this plugin. So I've just taken out the sub. I don't want super sub on the snare getting in the way. So I've taken it out at just 60 there, and I've cranked a fair bit of like around 6.5K there just to give it some more sort of brightness and smack. And then if I turn the reverbs on, that's the 80s right there. And I have another snare sample as well. Same thing to that, just put top end on it, compressed it so it really smacks you, taking off the real tops. And here's without. So it's just quite a normal snare sample, but with that amount of reverb, it just anything with that amount of reverb sounds 80s. So then let's go snare top. So I've just cranked all the tops and bottoms. There's the tiniest bit of compression, 1.2 to 1, and again taken off that top end that I don't want because the snare's in the center, right? So if you've got this like real pissy top end spikes coming out, that's exactly where your vocal's sitting. So I can really hear it now, but it took me a lot of years to figure this out. Like just, you know, you might not hear it when you got it in solo, but when everything's there and you take that top end, real top end away from the snare that's in the center as well, it just clears an extra space for all that pleasant top end sibilance that we really love about vocals. And just a gate. Kick, same thing, just a gate. So just taking out all the mids as you do on a kick, cranked a bunch of tops so it sounds nice and clicky. 5 to 1 compression on this. I just turn it till it sounds right in terms of where it's sitting sonically. I find that compression is the tool that you use to either bring something in or out of the speakers. So something that's less compressed is going to keep going back because it's going to have more dynamic range. So the less dynamic range it has, the more forward it will sit out of the speakers and sort of hit you in the face. So this kick, pretty standard kick. Here is the whole kit again. So the reverb is just ultra important in a song and production like this. Reverb's like quite a special tool, I think. It kind of gets overlooked. And also with the drums, I have this side stick overdub. The reason I overdubbed it is because it's just a pain in the ass when you're drumming, having to go from side stick to a powerful snare hit. And because this is basically the same drum beat the whole song, I didn't want to have to do that for 4.5 minutes. So I just went in and overdubbed just that side stick, and so I've got a snare top, a snare bottom, and overheads just for the side stick. And by doing this, you can get it really clear and crisp like that. So I won't go through the individual tracks. I'll just take off the. So all I've done is like what I would do on the snare: tops and bottoms. Just the mids and tops again. So, and then the overheads are going to the drum room, reverb, and so is the top mic. I don't normally put the snare top mics in reverb, but the side stick sounds quite nice in reverb actually. So here's that, and I'll play it with and without the plugins. So again, just making it sound that super hi-fi, super crisp, 80s, big. Let's go to, so the next tracks I've got all those toms that you're hearing. So I did another separate overdub of all the toms because I wanted that drum beat to keep going, and then these toms to be like sort of a featured tom thing. Or I guess it's quite inspired by like a lot of the Phil Collins stuff, his solo stuff in the 80s. He used to do a lot of really cool overdubs and just heaps of layers of drums, which I love being a drummer. So I'll play these toms in the breakdown and you can hear them. Yeah, they sound big and thunderous. So on this is something maybe a bit unorthodox, but I've sent all those tracks to my H3000, which is like my widening tool, and everything in the 80s was just super H3000 all over it, and this song is no exception. I do a lot. I'll show you later. But so yeah, it just made these toms sound a bit more, again, hi-fi and really like out of this world. I don't want it to sound like a boring couple of toms in my drum room. I want it to sound like toms from a big out of space stadium or something. So all I've done to them is like what I do on the normal drums. Take the mids, boost the tops and bottoms, bit of compression on the close mics. The overhead, same thing really, suck in the mids, tops and bottoms, bit of compression. And the room, more bottoms, no tops on the room. It gets a bit like sprinkly and weird up there in the rooms, I find, and just a little bit of compression. I've even taken off a lot of that really top end in the room too. So, and then they're all just going to that huge 80s drum reverb. So if I take I'll show you what they're like dry. You know, that just sounds like a couple of drums in a room, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for this song, I wanted hi-fi epic. I think this is the main reason I got into recording. I was so unsatisfied with how boring real drums are. And this was my way to get my drum kit and mess with it and make it sound like this big epic thing. You can't do that unless you actually book out like some big basketball court or something, and I couldn't be bothered doing that. So below that we have this shaker groove, which is almost through the whole song, and this actually really carries the song. It's really cool. I just got it from the Expand free sampler thing that comes with Pro Tools, and I've just rendered it down, and this is what it sounds like dry. Sounds like quite R&B, but what I've done is just taken off all the bottom end and all the top end, compressed it a bit, put it through my reverb in the H3000, and then now it sounds like this. So you notice it's got a really cool panning thing. I didn't actually do that, it was just part of the sound there. Then below that we have this chime, which is only at the start of the song, and this was almost like a bit of a nod to Living on the Prayer with those bells at the start. And below that we have another overdub of drums, believe it or not. This one is just done with the overheads, and it's just a take of me on the cymbals doing swells and stuff like that to make it sound more anthemic and whatnot. So I'll play a section where I'm doing quite a lot, maybe during the bridge here. So that, I've taken out all the bottoms. I don't want any bottom end on that. It's just there to be in the treble area only. Taken out heaps of the mids. And again, I've taken out the real tops just because there's so much fighting in competition up there for that space that I'm quite selective of who gets to go there or not. And then also, I didn't send this to the reverb, but I sent it to the H3000 just so the cymbals are in a different sonic space to the other cymbals. So these cymbals perhaps now sit just a little bit wider than the crashes of my main drum kit. So I think that's why I did that. And also, just when you send anything to the H3000, it's just got this cool 80s Hollywood sheen to it. So let me play all the drums now. I'll play that bridge section with all the drums. Yeah, I love it. To me, that just sounds like out of this world drums, because real drum kits just don't really sound like that in a room if you're standing there. So below that, let's go to the bass, which is going to be a keyboard bass because it's the 80s. I don't remember what I did for the bass on this one in terms of, I remember I did a couple of layers and I put like an one of the layers would have been playing an octave below the bass because I wanted that like super deep bass, and it's just like slightly mixed in, so it's like enough but not too much that it's just going to make my speakers crap out when it's played. So here's the bass without anything. So you can hear that octave below in there too, it's quite cool. And so for this, I've just taken off all the tops up to 3.5K, and that's it for the EQ. So it just takes out a lot of the buzz and crap because it's a sample keyboard bass, and it just builds up with noise when you compress it later. And again, I don't want that in that space of the vocals because again, the bass is a center panned instrument, so you can't forget that any top end on the bass is going to interfere with your vocal if you don't be careful and take that stuff off. And then after that, just an 1176 on the most default setting. And that's just holding the bass right up front, which I want for an epic 80s thing like this. So let's put the bass and drums. And then below that, I have this other track, which I overdubbed myself on a bass. I just plugged it in and did a slide, and here's that slide. That's it. And I've just got that copied out through the track whenever I've needed it to enhance a bit or make another bit feel exciting, you know what I mean? Slides are like, whoa, something's coming kind of thing. Below that, we have a horn pad. I'll go to the chorus. This is like very David Forster, Chicago, all that sort of stuff. That's this sound. I love it. It's like French horns. It's like the digital version of French horns almost. So I've just taken off all the bottom end up to 240, taken out even more bottom end, sucked out that 300 that nobody likes, and just put a bit of top end on. I'm just clearing up I just want it to sound clear. It sounds quite muddy on its own. And then that's just going to all the effects, the vocal reverb, the H3000, and the drum reverb as well. And then the second pad, same thing, just clearing it up. I think I even just copied and pasted that. It's you're just making space. Remember, you don't have to make it sound perfect on its own. It's just got to sound perfect when everything is playing together. And then below that we have another belly pad thing. Same thing, just clearing it up. A lot of these keyboard sounds are quite flat, and all you need to do is just open them up a bit and take out a bit of the mud from them. I mean, it's good that they've got all that frequency there for you to play with, but usually for pop music, that's what everyone does. Below that, we have a strings. Same thing, just taking off any sub stuff, taking off any real high stuff. The tiniest bit of compression. Again, going to all those same effects. Same thing. This one, just taking off the bottoms again. Yeah, same thing, just clearing it up. And now below that we have the real piano, which is my upright piano, which is sitting right there. It's mic'd up in an XY pair. This is what it sounds like dry. Upright pianos are so muddy when you record them, like they sound quite disgusting, really. So I just suck out all of that gross 300 again. It's like if you do live sound, that's the frequency everywhere that everyone's like, oh, that's just... and then I just crank heaps of 8K, and I've just taken off the tops again at 12. So this is, and after that, sorry, I have just a couple of dB compression on the LA3, which I love on piano. Sounds drastically different, but you need to have all that clarity and top end to get your piano over a whole big drum kit and a whole big thing and whatever. So you just got to do what's right for the song. And then I wanted this piano to sound even more 80s, so I've got to go into my vocal reverb, the H3000, and the drum reverb as well. So it's essentially going to 3 reverbs and like a stereo widening chorusy thing. So now with all that in, yeah, this one sounds like it's now one of those cool David Forster, real bright pianos with heaps of chorus. And below that is a piano overdub with the exact same piano, exact same mic setup and everything. This one is a little bit different in terms of I've just taken a little bit more bottoms off this one because I don't need 2 pianos with all that bottom end. And this part is playing up higher, so I definitely don't need as much bottom end. Just sucking out a little bit of the mids, those tops again, and again going to the LA3 and the exact same effects. So that one sounds like this. And then both the pianos together sounds like a big, epic 80s double octave piano, but I've just done it in real life instead of doing it on a keyboard. And then below that are the vocals. So my lead vocal is what I always do. SSL channel into an 1176, and this is what it sounds like.
If I take a moment, the world crashes down. If I turn away, will it still make a sound?
So again, the vocal sound on this is all the effects. So again, going to the vocal reverb, the H3000, and a delay, which I'll explain in a little minute. So all the vocals are almost the same. I actually have the, let me just check if that's correct. So all the BVs, you'll notice I have the attack straight up, but on the lead vocals, I have them at 3, which is sort of a general setting. And the reason I did that is I just wanted the BVs to just remain a bit flatter sonically, as in not poke out as much. And then so with the attack there, it just allows the lead vocal to just jump out just a little bit more dynamically, because it's not going to catch the transients as quicker. So it's almost like you're creating a little area for each one to sit in its own sonic space. So all the vocals are doing the same thing. I think the BVs I've just got going a bit less bottom end, actually a lot less bottom end. You know, they're almost up to 200, and I'm getting rid of a lot of lows. And these BVs, actually, these are the responses, and I just have a little bit of 5K on a bell just to give them a bit of clarity, because they just the I guess the top end of them, the sibilants, and that's what we hear as humans. That bit was sort of getting a little bit lost with everything else that was going on. So just by bringing up that top end just a tiny bit, I was able to hear what the lyrics actually were in that section. So let me play the chorus, and I'll play all the vocals.
World that I see, you can say what you want, you can say what you will, but you can't see the world through my eyes. I don't know what you think, I don't know what you do, 'cause you can't see the world through my eyes. Oh no.
Alright, let's talk about the vocal effects for this song. So I have the Lexicon 480L. It's set on 2.5 seconds on the plate setting. And then before that, I have a delay, which just is set on just 100% wet. And it's, at the moment, it's at 150 milliseconds. I sometimes time this to the song and sometimes don't, depends how it's feeling. But the idea behind this amount of pre-delay, I learned it from Bruce Swedian, who's Michael Jackson's longtime engineer. He says in his book and discusses this quite at length, and it's really important to note that the way that humans perceive sound, if we hear sounds that are within, about 40 to 50 milliseconds of each other, we perceive it as the one sound. So you can use this to your advantage with things like reverb. So if you put a delay on the reverb, then the reverb your ear has time to hear the dry vocal, and then the reverb will slot in afterwards. So think of it like a slap reverb, because if you were to have a reverb like this in real life, you'd be in quite a big space. So it would actually take some time for the reverb to come back, and that's why it sounds more real when you have a pre-delay, because it's very rarely in life, in a real world circumstance, that you could make a sound and it just have instant reverb. So that's the sort of psychoacoustic explanation behind that. And then afterwards, I have a de-esser. So I haven't de-essed my vocals because I don't need to in this particular recording, but sometimes if you don't, the S's get caught up in the reverb, and then you get these big things that go on, and they get messy because it's sibilance and it's top end. It gets in the way of the cymbals and everything. So just by putting the de-esser before the reverb, then all those vocals that are getting sent to the reverb are essentially being de-essed, and then the reverb is going to be a lot smoother in the top end and won't have those S's poking out. And then below that is the H3000. So I have this on 8%, which is pretty far. So 8% up and 8% down. And then I have just the stereo expander part of the SPL Vitalizer. I'm not using anything in it apart from just the stereo expander set all the way. I saw Tom Lord Alge do this in a video, and it just kind of reminded me of things sounding even more 80s, so I remembered and put this on. So I'll give you an example of all the vocals, and I'll take that H3000 in and out.
Say what you say what you say what you say what you can't see the world through my eyes. I don't know what you think, I don't know what you do, cause you can't see the world through.
So it really spreads out the vocals and gives them this like stereo sheen, and that's sort of what the pitch shift does. It gives this illusion that it's wider. That's what it does. And then if you make that even wider, it just now means the H3000 is sort of sitting out of the stereo spectrum a little bit more. Sort of what I was on about before with the with those tom overdubs being out a bit wider, and also the cymbals. You kind of, when you're mixing, you're also trying to find space dimensionally as well, not just with EQ, but where things are sitting in the whole stereo spectrum. And if you can get clever at placing things in certain spots, your mixes are going to sound more open and clear because everything has a distinct space about it and a distinct location. And then below that we have my delays. So it's just a stereo eighth note delay, and I do the offset trick again. So 295 on the left and 306 on the right. And then the delay below that is just a quarter note delay. And same thing, I've got them offset just a little bit. Not as much as the previous one, again, because it sort of puts them in a different sonic space. So you don't want your delays to just get in this big washy mess. Actually, another thing I wanted to go back to, I forgot to say before, but with the pianos, the panning that I did on the main piano is just left and right, but then the panning that I did on the top piano is the reverse of that. So the right side I've got going to the left, as you can see, and the left side going to the right. And the reason I do this is when I'm stacking heaps of pianos, again, you don't want the same things in the same sonic space. So by flipping it, it's almost like a completely different piano. So they're not competing with each other with the same exact sonic positioning, because I use the same mic and the same piano. So, not only did I do a little bit different EQ to make them sit differently, but I also did different panning as well. Let me go over one more thing, actually. There is this thing called space effects, which is, I've kind of got this running through a couple of my songs now. It's almost like become a running gag thing. How many songs can I use this one weird effect in? And I made this myself. I think I just had like a snare drum hit. I can't remember exactly. I think I used a snare drum hit with probably like a 40-second, some ridiculous length reverb. And then I put on the, what is it? Just this flanger plugin. And I think I just would have picked that there's a setting. I think I just put it on the classic phaser setting. And then, so it's like a reverse reverb that has a phaser on it as well. So I'll play that by itself. It's quite cool. And then that's going to the H3000, more reverb, and more reverb. And the EQ is just taking off all the bottoms, taking off the tops again. There's a bit of mid-range to make it poke out a bit. I'll play it to you. I don't know why, but this effect reminds me of the twister sound out of The Wizard of Oz. So let me play that without the effects. So there's quite a big volume difference, obviously, but the effects are so high. I've got it absolutely cranked. There's more effect than there is dry sound, basically. So all of them are like quite high up. So that's about it. That's how I made my epic 80s power ballad. Like, follow, subscribe, and shoot me any questions in the comments. And hope you enjoy. Thanks. Bye.